Welcome back to Total Freedom Radio with Rina Lynn, the show that's all about raising the bar of knowledge, healing hurting people, and spiritual warfare. You are joining us on KRRB Radio, revelationradio.net. Tune in to hear some amazing stories of healings, things that's happened to people, how they've gotten through it. Um, We'll find all kinds of stuff on this show. And if you have a story to share with others, go to askrenalyn at yahoo.com, drop me an email and give me your contact information and we'll talk about it. Go to my website, rinalynn.com, and sign up for my newsletter or click into one of the book titles and start reading this fantastic series that I've been writing and go to Amazon and drop a review there. They're really interesting and interested in those. Again, we're on KRRB Radio, and I have got a very interesting guest for you this evening. He's a gentleman that has a very interesting tale to tell, and I want to just remind you that the views and opinions expressed are those of the guest and not necessarily those of the host of Total Freedom or KRRB Revelation Radio Network. Gentleman's name is Fritz, and we look at some things on entirely opposite sides, and we look at some things alongside each other. Fritz, I want to welcome you to Total Freedom. Excuse me. I'm having that Texas crud and having trouble talking tonight. Would you introduce yourself to my listening audience? Tell them a little bit about yourself and why you're on the Total Freedom Show.
Hello, Rina. Thanks for having me. My name is Fritz Freud. I'm what am I? I'm a musician. I'm a drifter. Yeah. I also write on Substack, and I have a very personal beef with Elon Musk because he stole my invention, which is a hypersonic zero-emission train that I patented in 2008. And he basically created a scam, which is called the Hyperloop, which never worked and never will work because he wanted to distract it from my work and basically con me out of it. And that's a good start, isn't it?
That's a good start. And again, you claim to have invented this most beautiful and capable transport system, and that it's faster, safer, cheaper, and cleaner than anything. And I have taken a look at the patent, and it's quite interesting. So tell us more about this invention and what you called it, and how many other patents are actually attached to it. And I know that some people have asked you if it's based off Jules Verne's concept or any other writing from the 1800s. So if you would address that a little bit too.
See that with Jules Verne stuff I heard. It's not completely different. Yeah. The thing is, what I did, two other people have done before me. That is, I combined aviation technology with train technology. The first technology is called the Schienenzeppelin. It's by Franz Kruckenberg, and the second technology is hovercraft train, which I basically think it was sold to the USA as a raw train system. In France, it was called the Aerotrain. It was basically a hovercraft train. My train difference in such that it's a scramjet train. Scramjet means sonic combustion ramjet. It's you take a train, it flies over its own cushion using technology called self-levitation by forward motion. That means it scoops in the air when you go forward. Basically, is like an aeroplane without wings. So it has a very low coefficient factor for air resistance. The wings are tucked into the design. So it flies above the rail, takes in the air, pushes it through a system of valves, and creates underneath the train a rolling ground effect. And that means that in the end, that's the principle of the scramjet. The Because you don't need oxygen, because you scoop in the oxygen through the forward motion, it compresses the air by forward motion. That means the faster you go, the faster you can go. And at the ignition point, you basically burn the fuel in there, and the expansion causes propulsion. That technology is tried and tested for 10 times the speed of sound. And probably anyone has heard about the hypersonic missiles of the Russians. It uses the same technology because if you want to go faster than the speed of sound, that's the only technology that there is. Because the faster you go, the more you scoop the air in, the higher is the compression rate of the air, and the higher the compression rate of the air means the higher is the expansion rate and the higher is the propulsion, which increases the speed, which then increases again the amount of oxygen that you collect by forward motion. So the speed that you can achieve in theoretic terms is infinite. That means you can go from A to B without a transitional period. You accelerate, you decelerate, and you're there. And that's it. I call that linear travel.
And how
And
far are we talking in that time length?
uh, basically, you can go around the world in less than 4 hours. Yeah. We're talking about speeds above 10,000 kilometers per hour here. Yeah. And tried and tested.
That sounds like an incredible invention, and that's something that would be very helpful for mankind. So, what happens after you invented this technology?
Oh, my life got destroyed, completely destroyed and evaporated. And I'm basically, I'm alive. Yeah, because I'm a survivor. And I studied Wing Chun under Sifu Leo Aoyang in London. And I studied Hanga in London as well, under Sifu Leon Dogan. And I studied Bakwa Chang in China. And that's why I survived, because I spent my time training with my friends. Yeah,
When you say
because
that your life was destroyed, can you give us some examples of that?
I patented this technology on the 5th of May in 2008 in Hong Kong. And I tried to, well, it's a, there's a guy in Shenzhen, China. I lived in Shenzhen. I was married there. I was happy. I was musician. And I had this really good idea, because I saw every time in the Spring Festival, you see the people in China, the transport system completely collapses. So I thought, what is the best way of bringing people? Because they brought in the Airbus A380 and all the stuff is, you bring a massive amount of people, 500 people at the time, and then they have to wait for the entrance. They have to wait to get on the plane. So I thought that the best way how you increase the rate, the transition rate. I call it passenger transition rate. The rate, how many people you can get at a certain time frame, say an hour, from A to B. Yeah. And in 2005, I was witness the first the Australian have the space in Woomera, and they had this high fly. That was the first hypersonic flight. I'm fascinated by this technology, and I love it. Yeah. So I combined all these technologies uh, and made it work in a train, because a plane has wings, and the wings have always been a problem. I think Boeing or Lockheed, when they try to break the sound barrier for the planes, they have this effect. That's when they can delta wings in, because you have to shape. You basically have to give way before you create that shock wave that gives the sonic bang. So you have to narrow the fuselage of the aeroplane and make the wings smaller, that you allow this shock wave to travel over the body of the aeroplane. That means a certain physics, supersonic physics, they dictate the design. And I got around it by not using wings. I don't need wings, so I don't create that shock wave. Instead, I'm riding the wave like a surfboard, yeah, where the ignition point dictates how fast I go. Yeah. If I go from A to B, I can permanently accelerate from A to B, because the faster I go, the more oxygen I put in, the higher the compression rate. The higher the compression rate, the more fuel I can burn. The more fuel I can burn, the higher the propulsion. The higher propulsion, the faster the speed. The faster the speed, the more air I can scoop in, and the higher the compression rate. It is basically a system where it grows exponentially. There is no limitations to that system. And if you say that you want to go from A to B, and you set A to B as infinite, yeah, and you can completely, permanently accelerate, because all 4 points you have scoop the air in, you have the compression, you have the ignition and expansion. You can permanently switch them on. So
Fritz,
there's
what
not
is this fuel that it runs on? And have you made a prototype to see that it works?
hydrogen. It runs on hydrogen. Like every other, anyone who knows scramjet technology runs on hydrogen. So it
Okay.
basically has water as the only exhaust. Yeah. So it's all that you need. Yeah. So, and I have not been able to make a prototype because they stopped me. Yeah. I was in China. I needed a boat builder because it is all curves. There are no corners on there. There are no moving parts in this train. So I went up to a boat builder, and that guy was a CIA operator. Um, I only found out afterwards. Yeah, after uh, they did very bad things to me. Basically, tried to sabotage me from the beginning. Because I went to him, I showed him my plan. He looked into my eyes, said, "That changes everything." Yeah, it's like why he was completely stone faced, completely shocked. Yeah, and I said, "Yeah, what's the problem?" Yeah, because this technology means it's the end of the aviation. Yeah, we don't need it. Yeah, I can I can transport more passengers in less time and absolute clean. Yeah, means you
So
can
you
go
think
from
that they tried to stop you because it would replace aviation?
um, it would replace the order that we're living under completely. Yes, yeah, it would replace aviation. Uh, it would make um, oil unnecessary. It would make war for oil completely unnecessary and unfathomable. Yeah. So when say Donald Trump wants to invade another country for oil, we put this technology on. Why? We don't need oil. We don't need your war. We don't need it. We have something better. Yeah. You can go from New York to LA within 45 minutes with this plane. Yeah. So you can go around the world in 4 hours You have lunch in Italy. Yeah, you have supper in China. It is basically it changes the way we live. It changes the way we travel. Yeah, and it uh, is the backdrop. This technology also works in space. I mean, we don't know what the space is made of because we can trust the NASA. We can't trust these people, none of them. But this technology has the capability of working in space. So it's basically the blueprint for interstellar space travel.
So you think it's
And
like the perfect vehicle, whatever place that it's put in.
absolutely. And there was a few years ago, there was a thing called Oumuamua. Don't know if you heard of that. Yeah, there was a this they said it's an interstellar space object, but when you look at Oumuamua and the shape, because you see when you go into space and you go at a certain speed, it's a small particle. Yeah, if the higher the speed is, the higher the energy of the particle which you uh, will collide. So you have to shape the object perfectly so that collision will be avoided and reflection will take place instead of a collision, if you understand what I mean.
Instead of a
Because
collision.
yeah, because you don't get a you don't get confrontation. Yeah, you need to avoid that. So you need to shape the uh, the exterior in such a way that it is reflected. Yeah, so that you don't damage the hull because that would be very bad thing in a vacuum. Yeah,
So
and
let me take just a moment here, Fritz, to acknowledge my sponsors, and then we will get right back into it. And I'm probably going to have you back next week because we got some other things we need to discuss. We are not going to get in on this time.
cool.
Let me find what I'm looking for.
Folks, you want to help Total Freedom Radio stay on the air? Please help support our sponsors. We have Simply Clean Foods. Primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze dried food in our daily cooking. As a community focused company, they strive to help our veterans through food donations and provide food to victims of natural disasters. They're dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Their stringent quality controls and absolute zero GMO policy in testing for heavy metals make them unique in the storable foods market. They say just because our food is freeze dried doesn't make it just for emergencies. Our line of fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away food that you don't use. Just take out the amount you need and reseal the package for use within the next 6 months. Go to rinalyn.com to the affiliates page and please click in from there and it'll take you straight to my page and it'll kick back just a little bit to us to help us with our cost. Thank you so much for supporting our sponsors. Folks, don't forget to check out my new book series, Prepare for the End. Just go to rinalyn.com and click on any book cover, and it'll take you straight to Amazon. You can get them in paperback or ebooks. If you like good love stories, drama, espionage, crime, struggling people who've lost their way and need help from those around them, it has it all. It's a classic saga of good versus evil, chock full of visits from the angelic realm from players on both sides. We have two groups of families that have been at war for over a century in central Texas, and those that serve the dark side are fueled by the Serpent King, who is determined to take out God's men and women before they can stop the evil he leads his followers to do. Each side is determined to represent their God well, and as in Old Testament times, sometimes Jesus himself makes an appearance to speak to his faithful followers and call them to task for end time events. People shockingly change sides, and it's a race to see who will make it through to stand before God and hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Go to rinalyn.com and help me get God's word out through my characters and their struggles to understand why they are so attacked. Send the link to your friends and help me be successful at the task that God's given me. While you're there, leave a donation to help with publishing and radio costs. A good way to do that is with a one-time donation, but also you can set up a small monthly recurring donation that I can count on to make sure I can keep the new books coming. Sometimes they're delayed while I save the funds. You can also click into rena-thatinsurancechick.com and send me a contact form and I'll get you an insurance quote. I have an A+ accredited Better Business Bureau rating and everyone needs the products I offer. Drop me an email and share your story or your job. It helps me get the characters authentic.
Right, Fritz. Thank you for indulging me in that. We all got to pay our bills. Let me ask you
Absolutely.
something. What is the Virgin Earth Challenge? Can you tell our listening audience about that?
Um, the Virgin Earth Challenge was, Richard Branson. Yeah. Elon Musk has something similar called the X Challenge. The aim was to get they do it so promoting a technology that's called carbon capture and storage, where they capture the CO2 emissions and wanted to store them into let's see, store them. So they had this challenge, 25 million for someone who comes up with technology who saves a certain amount of CO2 emissions. So I tried to enter that, but the thing is with these scams, that's like Richard Branson or Elon Musk, yeah, they're scammers. Yeah, they're not people, they're scammers. They phrase the wording so that they don't want to reduce the emissions. It's in the same framework as net zero. It's a complete scam. Yeah, it's nothing to do with technological advancements. It has everything to do with making money and making things worse by promising you something better. When you say you want to reduce greenhouse gases, yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's go in. I save more CO2 emissions by not creating it in the first place. So why do you why do you need to clean up your house when your house is clean? You don't. So if you use this technology, or for example, Stanley Myers built a hydrogen fuel cell. Now Toyota has a car running on hydrogen coming out, the V8. JCB has cars running on hydrogen. So we don't need electric cars. It's a scam. We don't need Teslas. It's a scam. We have the combustion engine, which is perfect. We only need to change the fuel. And that was my argument. But Richard Branson, Elon Musk, they are scammers. Yeah. They phrase the wording so that it doesn't change a thing, but basically snake oil salesman. Yeah. My technology produces absolute zero emissions forever because it uses hydrogen and produces water. And that water can be split again into hydrogen and oxygen, which is perfect. You never ever create any negative impact.
So
And
what I'm hearing you saying is you were prevented from entering this contest, but what you had designed would have won the contest. Is that correct? And we got about 3.5 minutes.
absolutely, absolutely. And the same with the X Prize. It's the same scam. It's CC, carbon capture and storage. So let me just, there we have 3 minutes. I tell you very shortly. I feared for my life with this technology. They tried to kill me. I had put my website up, had put all the information so that my information survives. On that, I saw that the NASA was on my website, and SpaceX was on my website. So I contacted a guy called Rick Avalos. You can research that name. Basically from Tesla. Tried to contact Elon Musk, and Elon told him, "You should tell me," that he wasn't interested. That was in 2009. And then in 2013, he came up with a Hyperloop, which you've got the picture. You can put this on your website. The Hyperloop is a copy of my technology, only in a tube, which makes things worse because it doesn't work.
Well, we're
Because
gonna get into that next week 'cause that's gonna be a big, big thing to unpack. So, if you'll hold on to that just a minute, te would you tell us what you would have we know it's the 25 what was it, 25,000,000 you said was the prize for that
yeah,
contest?
yeah.
So, you feel like you were at least cost 25,000,000, and then we'll get into the next week because we just simply don't have time to cover that right now of what it eventually cost you, um, for what you allege happened. Am I
I
correct on
think
that?
there's 25 million of the Virgin Earth Challenge, the 250 million Branson invested in the Hyperloop, which is a scam, and the 100 million. So we are at around 300 to 400 million, which they owe me.
So you still believe they cost you that. Um,
Yeah.
we've got 1 minute in the program, and we will talk about the rest of that. I'll have you back next week, and we'll unpack that a little bit. But what do you want to say in 1 minute?
Um, I say we don't need war. Yeah. I've got I've got a song which I want that all people come together and say, we don't need any war ever again. We don't need all this. We can change the world. We can change it now, and we don't need politicians.
When we have time on the next show, we will actually play that for you. But for now, thank you for being on the Total Freedom Show this week, and I will talk to you next week, and we'll talk a little bit more about what you think happened with your invention, and again what it cost you down the road. Thank you, Fritz. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for having me.